In 2019, New York State under Cuomo passed a very aggressive, very sweeping climate act that has the most aggressive goals of any other law passed. And we are just beginning to feel those because they're just beginning to be implemented, such as this pizza regulation by DOH or the coal burning stoves.
New York City Department of Health, in their infinite wisdom, decided that some of the pollution, much of the pollution that's going up into our atmosphere from New York City is caused by the wood burning and coal-fired ovens that really produce pizza. There are larger pollutants than coal ovens and fire ovens, so it did strike me as a bit unreasonable. How can we just be pointing the finger at this very small business sector in New York City? A lot of things are going electric and kind of at the same time. But they say everything looks good. We're on track. We've got this under control. We have it handled. I'm just a regular citizen here waiting to see, how this thing goes down.
Hello and welcome to New York Insider. I'm Liam O'Neill. Today I'm being joined by Brad Gerstman, who is a lawyer and a lobbyist, and you may have seen him on social media because in the summer of 2023 he became the pizza guy.
Yeah. Strangely enough.
How'd you
I've
become
been called
the
a
pizza
lot
guy?
of things, but pizza guy is a new one. And so what happened is, long story short, is New York City Department of Health, in their infinite wisdom, decided that some of the pollution, much of the pollution that's going up into our atmosphere from New York City is caused by the wood burning and coal-fired ovens that really produce pizza. They also produce some other things,
Some
but
matzah and maybe bagels?
right? Some bagels, but pizza was kind of the main attraction, and I saw, like, my God, how can we just be pointing the finger at this very small business sector in New York City, and especially pizza, which of course is like the city food.
It's the staple,
it's the staple. It's the food. It's like the state bird. We've got pizza as the state food, right? So what's New York without pizza? And now we're targeting them. So I was like, get out of here, right? And people were calling me all these various well-known pizza spots that are reviewed often and publicly, and it's a lot of fun, and I'm just like a pizza fanatic. I mean, I could literally eat pizza every single day and twice on Sunday. It wouldn't stop me. As a matter of fact, that would be preferable for me. Yeah. So I went on the reverse of a pizza strike, is I ate pizza every single day, and I videotaped it every single day, and at least for one meal per day, and I would just go around just eating pizza. And it wasn't the most attractive videography, but I think it made the point. At the same time, being a lobbyist, I said, let me put on my lobbyist hat and let me address this from a political standpoint. I had conversations with the Department of Health.
Yeah, you got some attention from officials, right?
Yeah,
Did they reach out to you, or?
Well, it was going both
you
ways.
Had some connections.
I had connections, and I was like, hey. And they're like, look, you don't need to get this crazy about it, And I'm like, it's not crazy. I'm just eating pizza, like the rest of the city. And they said, okay, well, we don't need to get upset by it because it's only going to affect just a very small proportion of all the pizza places, even a small proportion of those who do wood-fired ovens and coal-fired ovens. And I was like,
so how many are we talking about?
So they said it was like 15 places total. Okay. And I had the number at 150. And I said, all right, look, if that's the case, let's wait for the regulations. They had a public hearing, a lot of people testified. And it just sounded, like they were going to, when I say they, the Department of Health, that they were going to come down with, a very reasonable ruling in terms of, those ovens that have to go on all day to keep it going, meaning ones that don't have any, for instance, propane or any other kind of fuel.
They're 100% particulate wood or coal.
That's right. And so I said, okay, look, if that's that, there's only a handful of them. They're really, really old ones. And then the city even said, okay, and if they can't afford it, we could either give them a waiver. Okay, that's nice. Or they can actually give a grant towards the technology to prevent such terrible pollution.
Yeah, and just pause right there. I mean, because the modern city, 8 million, 10 million, whatever we have here in New York City.
8 to 9 million.
It's built on a number of things, but fundamentally, one of those things is regulation, right? We can't have 8 million people living here without some sort of regulation.
Sure.
I mean, 200 years ago in London, people were dying of syphilis and other filthy diseases because they couldn't do sewage, right? So the modern city is built on regulation. We need rules. And if I'm in the apartment above the coal-burning stove and my kid has asthma, that's a big hazard.
Yeah, I mean,
You can understand where they're coming from.
I'm all for, environmental protections. Otherwise, like you said, things can get out of hand. There are larger pollutants than coal ovens and fire ovens. So it did strike me as a bit unreasonable. But needless to say is there definitely are some people that may live above an oven and are feeling the effects of that. And for those people, obviously, I feel concerned for. But we have to, as government, they have to weigh, the impact they have on small business, on society, versus how many people are they really saving. And I think in this case, the small business outweighed whatever benefit the New York City population of 9 million people would benefit from. So that said, it was a bit of a fight. I know there were a lot of phone calls that were made to City Hall. I know that the mayor caught some flack. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the details because I don't want to bore your audience, but this was a Mayor de Blasio initiative.
Right.
It started with him.
Adams inherited it.
Thank you, Adams inherited it.
Yeah.
To his chagrin, and he had to deal with it. And and so, the Department of Health ruled that that I think they found somewhere in the middle that they found a whole bunch that they recommended or required there to be some pollution preventative measures taken, and that could cost a good deal of money.
Yeah, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. I feel bad that I kind of feel misled, to be honest, from the Department of Health and my conversations with them.
You had a conversation with them, and you felt okay.
Yeah, I felt okay.
Right?
And
but then when they're actually...
I almost stopped eating pizza, as part of the whole campaign. I was like, all right, but you know what? I'll keep going because plus I like it. And you know what? There was still a little more room in my suits to go.
Over.
Yeah, I thought I was like, all right, I'll be able to go back to eating healthy food, on a more regular basis.
You're busting out.
Yeah, I was busting out of the suit, and I said, all right, there's still a little room left in my suit. I could keep going, and I kept going, and I kept eating, and yeah, I wasn't exactly pleased with the outcome. I'm not. I think it needs to be examined a lot more closely to determine where the Department of Health really came out on this.
Okay.
You have to look at definitions, and you have to look at some of the and some of the language specifically to each one of these wood burning or coal burning ovens. So
I believe the law is actually taking effect at the end of this month. We're filming in April 2024, and there are potentially going to be summonses given if some of these...
Well, that's what I'm kind of getting at is there are regulations and then there are other regulations, in this day and age. Yeah, in this day and age, I mean, is the Department of Health really going to go and enforce this? Are they really going down to, make sure and visit every single one of these pizza restaurants? I don't want to give anyone any, feeling of ease here by saying they won't, but it doesn't strike me as like the number one thing the Department of Health has to do these days.
We have some other crises in the city.
Yeah, there are a few, and that does not seem to be the one that's the pressing matter at the moment.
But with your help, being on social media, it certainly kind of blew up.
Look, if I have to start eating again, the pizza, I'll do whatever I need to do to protect my favorite staple food. Okay. So, I was eating pizza from, even other states. I thought that, but, I wasn't rating it. I like all pizza. Okay. I'm not like... You weren't
playing favorites.
Yeah, I wasn't. Well, not like David Portnoy who goes around rating the pizza, although I appreciate that. I watch that, I watch that more than I watch anything.
Okay, so... This pizza, this is a small slice, if you will, of the environmental regulations that are coming down from Albany, because in 2019, New York State under Cuomo
Yep.
passed a very aggressive, very sweeping climate act that has the most aggressive goals of any other law passed probably in the world, but certainly in the United States, even ahead of California's. And we are just beginning to feel those because they're just beginning to be implemented, such as this pizza regulation by DOH or the coal burning stoves. You are a lobbyist. Do you represent any other clients who are feeling the effects of this climate act coming into effect?
Yeah. I represent the New York State school bus contractors industry. So all those third-party contractors that pick up the kids and deliver them home at the end of every single day. So it's and that is about 85% of the school districts use outside contractors.
Okay.
So those are my clients. That industry, that association, are my clients, and some significant regulations, laws, have been passed that impact them greatly. One is, by the year 2027, any new school buses that are purchased must be electric school buses. So they have to do away with the clean diesel and move into electric. And so obviously, there are a number of factors and things that go into their ability to do that, and their ability to recharge and to maintain, and the concerns of distances and weather, and how that affects these electric vehicles. And then by 2035, just to finish the thought, is all the yellow school buses would be electrified, the whole fleet.
I see.
For everyone, everywhere in New York State.
Nothing else is grandfathered in after
Nothing else.
2035.
Nothing else. Not right now. Now,
And are they concerned about this? I mean, because a couple of weeks ago, we had a gentleman on who's an expert in the economics around environmental regulations. And, just several years ago, New York State closed Indian Point Power Plant with a stroke, eliminating 25% of New York City's electricity with nothing else to substitute for it. And the demands on electricity under the Climate Act are only going to go through the roof. But we don't have a lot of solar or wind farms set up right now.
Yeah, I'm not really the expert on this. All I could say is I do know the state is engaging in a number of contracts and with wind farms and engineers to erect these wind farms throughout the state. So and in the ocean, et cetera. The capacity for all that, once it's all put together, I'm not sure. I assume the state, through their agency, NYCERDA, has some knowledge of, where they are and, when can they turn off, the fossil fuels and turn on, the wind. Like, when does that happen? I don't know. I just know that a lot of things, and you've already expressed it very clearly, a lot of things are going electric, and kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
And it is going to be a big burden on our utilities. But they say everything looks good. They're signaling back to government that, look, we're on track. We've got this under control. We have it handled. I'm just a regular citizen here waiting to see, how this thing goes down.
Yeah. All right, but the bus companies will let you know if there's a problem, I guess.
Oh, I'm day to day with them, and there are a number of small issues. I don't want to bore your viewers or listeners, but there are a number of issues that need to be worked out, and I'm working with the governor's office to try to resolve these in time to effectuate the change that they're seeking. Okay.
So that's your focus right now. You're not representing any Pizza Huts at this point.
No, pizza, look, if it becomes necessary and the pizza restaurant industry says, Brad, get on your horse, let's do this, okay? Let your pants out, let's go. I'm ready to go. I'm always ready to go.
Okay. All right, well, Brad, thanks a lot for coming into New York Insider and giving us the scoop.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.